Hey pregnant mums, this is Nisha from the 9-Month Club, and today I wanted to talk to you about the #1 secret for getting really toned fit arms this pregnancy. Now this all came about because I was in my community site the other day, which is www.the9monthclub.ning.com, and some of the mums on my coaching program were talking about how they've always wanted to get lovely sculpted arms and how it always seems to elude them no matter how well their nutrition plan is going or how well their fitness is going. But having a look at their blog posts and their comments and from previous posts that they'd made and from conversations that were going on, I saw that they all had one thing in common, and this one thing was really getting in the way of getting their sculpted, toned arms that they want. And you can do this during pregnancy. Don't be under the impression that just because you're pregnant and you're going to put on weight and body fat that you can't get toned and sculpted arms, because I managed it. So it's definitely achievable, and it doesn't take too much work. You just need to be hot on your nutrition and be eating the right foods and be doing your workouts on a daily basis for 15 minutes. So it's not a lot of work. So basically, the two things you need to know to get really toned, sculpted arms is that first of all, you need muscle, because obviously if there's no muscle there, you're not going to have any muscle definition. So you need to build muscle, and to do that you need to weight train. Now, a lot of mums will say to me, but I don't want to bulk up, I don't want to get like big chunky arms. No, of course you don't. And to be honest, if you could do this, then you'd be surprising me, because there's a lot of women that train for figure and bodybuilding competitions, and they put a hell of a lot of work, and they have to be really hot on their hormone balance and things like that, because basically women just don't have the necessary hormones to put on a lot of muscle bulk. So we need testosterone basically to build big heavy muscles, but women don't have a lot of this, and obviously in pregnancy you have even less because you're carrying a lot of female hormone. So don't worry about bulking up, because it's not going to happen, but you will get nice defined arms if you follow the two simple rules that I'm going to give you in a second. So the second thing is that you also need to get rid of the fat that's on your arms, because you could have the most defined arms, you could have really strong, lovely biceps and triceps and nice shoulders, but you wouldn't know it if you were carrying, a big layer of fat on the top, because you just wouldn't be able to see it. And in that case, that's where women get confused, because yes, they do spend some time at the gym building up the muscle, the lean muscle in their body, so doing muscle hypertrophy exercises, but they don't get rid of the fat layer that's lying on top. So what you get is the dense, compact muscle, which doesn't take up a lot of space and is nice and defined, but on top of that they've got all this fat lying on top of it. Now, it may not look as wobbly as they had it before, because they've got the definition underneath to hold it and make it seem a bit firmer, but it's still there. So once they've got rid of that fatty layer, then you would be able to see the muscle definition and the nice shaped arms underneath. So that's the two things that you need to be hot on when you want to get a nice sculpted upper body. So here's how we do it. The first thing you need to be aware of is your nutrition. Now, if your diet includes a lot of sugar, if it includes a lot of processed food, and by that I mean things that you get typically in packages from the supermarkets, already prepared items or dishes. For example, if you took a can of beans from the supermarket in a tomato sauce, on the back you would find things like modified maize starch, like citric acid, like colourings, like flavourings, and all of these things are not natural sources of food. So although it may say natural flavouring added, it is not something that has grown from the ground or swam in the sea, or is a food with a face, so an animal protein. So therefore it is not a natural source of food for your body. So what happens is when you eat it, your body sees this chemical compound, so maybe it's got 3 chains, 4 chains, whatever it has, but it doesn't recognize it as a food source. So it says, okay, this is a toxin. What do I do with toxins? Well, because there's a lot of toxins coming into my body all the time, I haven't got time to fight all these toxins, because I have other jobs to do. I have to look after a baby, I have to look after this body, I have to produce new blood cells. There's a hell of a lot going on. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to shove this toxin somewhere where it's not going to hurt me. So what does it do? It lays down fat. in the fatty tissue, the toxins get deposited, and then any water that you drink from then on also gets diverted to dilute those toxins. So not only do you end up with a fatty layer that's carrying pollution and toxins in your system, but you also get dehydrated because the water that you drink is now diverting to dilute those toxins, and it's not hydrating the cells that need it. So you can drink loads and loads of water but still be dehydrated. So this is one of the reasons that I use the elimination diet in the first trimester of pregnancy, so that I can get my mums on my coaching program in the best shape they can possibly be to carry their pregnancy, but also to keep them looking toned and fit and lean throughout their pregnancy and confident, and to get that glowing aura that we all want. So the elimination diet basically cuts out all processed food, because you do not want these toxins stimulating your body to lay down fat and absorbing all this water, which should be going to hydrate your cells, your muscles, your organs, and your baby, of course. And this, one of the other things that they're not allowed to have is sugar, because sugar behaves in the same way. It acts like a toxin on the body because it's largely refined. Even if you do get natural sugars like honey or what else, like molasses or something like that, these natural sugars play havoc with your metabolism, because as soon as you eat a natural sugar, you get a sharp insulin rise. Insulin metabolizes sugar. It gets rid of all the sugar in your system, and then it drops really suddenly. Now, if you keep doing this over and over again, so you have a sugar addiction, or you have sugar like regularly a couple of times a day, which is a sugar addiction, then you are eventually going to become insulin resistant. So your body just says, okay, I'm getting this sugar all the time, I can't produce any more insulin, so you become resistant, and this can lead to type 2 diabetes, gestational diabetes in pregnancy, all other sorts of health complications. That's the kind of scary side of it, but the kind of the effect for you and with relation to this body is this video is that this sugar is all going to contribute to that fat layer that's going to lay down over your muscle tissue. And so you may be working out 5 times a week, doing your 15-minute workouts and saying, hey, she says this is going to work for me, it's supposed to be 15-minute workouts, but all I can see is thick chunky arms. Well, that's why, because you got the layer of fat over the top. So rule number 1, get your nutrition on track. Cut out your processed foods, cut out your sugar, and obviously the other things that are going to act as toxins on your body. So things that I talk about all the time are alcohol, caffeine, any wheat products, because it's refined as well. It does the same thing as sugar as processed food. Cut out the processed food and cut out the microwaves. So that's 5 things you need to get rid of in your diet to get these nice super lean toned arms. Okay, so number 2 is resistance training. You need to resistance train to build up lean muscle, and I mean lean muscle, not bulky muscle. So if you want super toned, defined arms, you need to build lean muscle in your body. So I'm going to just switch the camera off now, and we'll go to the next clip, and I'm going to show you some great exercises to get super toned arms. Okay, see you in a second. Bye.